Yep, I am now in New York. Got here a bit earlier, was absolutely exhausted, so I've slept most of the afternoon, so I've not really slept during the night time. But now I'm gonna have a bit of time in the evening to check out the Rockefeller Center, go to Top of the Rock, and I'm just gonna have quite a chilled evening. Tomorrow is gonna be a real day of exploring. So I've got a few days here to take in as much of New York as I can. I've only been out of my hotel room for 10 minutes, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna like New York, to be honest. Although I've always wanted to come here since I was a kid. But I feel quite buzzing. I feel quite alive just walking through the streets. So I think I'm gonna have a great time here. So I'm at Top of the Rock. It's not the tallest viewpoint. There are some nice views of Central Park over there. You've got the Empire State Building over the other side. Over there. And yeah, there's lots of other viewpoints, but I thought this is a good one because you do get to see quite a lot of the city. It's not quite as high as some of the others. Obviously there's also the Empire State Building, but you won't get that in the view if you're up there, obviously. But I do plan to go there before the end of my trip.
Singing alone, dancing in the middle. Guess it's my jungle.
So I'm a little bit more rested, still quite tired actually, but today is going to be my real sort of exploring day, and I'm going to see as much as I can of New York City. So my first stop is the site of the World Trade Center. So this is where one of the towers used to stand, and it's now the memorial pools. You see the water flowing down, and all around here you've got all the names of the people that lost their lives during the attack. There is a museum over there as well. It's just amazing to think what used to be here and everything that happened. It's quite tragic, you know.
What is dreaming my brain in this happy city, yeah.
So two things I've always wanted to see in my life: Statue of Liberty and the pyramids. Finally I've done one. Even though I've been to 77 countries, it's taken me this long to come here and see one of those things. So yeah, it's quite impressive. It's not the best day, it's a bit cloudy. I think it's going to brighten up later, but sod's law, I guess. There are different tours you can do. You can go into the pedestal, which I could have done. There were tickets available, but they were much later, and I wanted to get so much else fitted in for the day that I just decided to do the walk around the base here. The other tour I would love to have done was to go inside, and you can go right up to the crown, and you get a view of the city, and I just couldn't get tickets. I mean, I think you have to book like half a year in advance to get those tickets, but I would love to have done that. But just being here at the base, looking up, it's still quite impressive, and you still get quite a good view of the statue itself from down here. So I've stopped off for some food because I'm starving. Come to a very famous place called Katz's Deli. Not as busy as I thought it might be. You get given a ticket, and you need to have this to get out, as well as order your food. I've just gone with a classic pastrami sandwich with lots of mustard. It's quite big, and it was about $25, but you only live once, and it's meant to be delicious. And it has to be said, this is really, really good. So that's the Manhattan Bridge, not the Brooklyn Bridge, but then further behind you've got the Brooklyn Bridge, which is where I'm going to head towards right now. So I'm not too sure how I felt about Katz's Deli. I think it was a bit overpriced. It was like $25. There was a lot of meat, there was a lot of pastrami in the sandwich, don't get me wrong. And it was nice. It wasn't the most delicious sandwich I've ever had. But yeah, $25 is a bit much for the flavour and what it actually was. But at least I've ticked it off my list. Like I say, I've been to Katz's Delicatessen. But yeah, I think a little bit overpriced, in my opinion. So I'm now walking along the Brooklyn Bridge to head over to Brooklyn. It's quite busy on here. I think it always is busy nowadays.
And I'm wondering again, what is dreaming my brain in this happy city,
So I'm now in an area called Dumbo, and I'm in Brooklyn Bridge Park. Obviously that's the Manhattan Bridge, not the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn Bridge is over there. There's a nice little street that I've just come down where I got a couple of photos. But it was really busy. It'd be nice if it was a bit less busy down there. I think there's a lot to explore in Brooklyn. but time is limited, and I don't think I've got enough time to really appreciate Brooklyn and see all there is to offer here. So it's only kind of like a quick stop here before heading back to Manhattan to do a lot of the other things I want to do in Manhattan. So back in Manhattan, hasn't taken me long because I've been using the subway. So before I came, I read up a little bit about New York being a bit less safe in the last couple of years, maybe due to a bit more struggle with the economy due to COVID. But I've felt totally safe walking around, and I've been using the subway. And the subway's fine as long as there's lots of people around. I don't know if I'd use it late at night, and I'd probably avoid getting a carriage to myself, especially late at night. But yeah, it's been fine, and it's the cheapest and easiest way to get around the city, so I definitely recommend using the subway. So what is behind me now in Manhattan? It is, of course, the Ghostbusters headquarters. So I just passed through Chinatown, and now I'm cutting through Little Italy, which I didn't realise was right next door to Chinatown. There's like some really nice restaurants around here, Italian restaurants. But I don't know if I'm gonna. Maybe I will visit one while I'm here, just not at the moment, because that pastrami sandwich has still filled me up. So I don't think I'm ready to eat until much later. I'm now at Washington Square Park, which is quite a bit bigger than I realised, and quite busy as well. But it's here where there's the Washington Square Arch and the fountain before it, which is a little bit like the fountain from Friends, but it is not the actual fountain from Friends. Quite a nice little park. Quite a nice place to chill out. This building over here is the building, Friends building, but it's the outside shot, not the inside shot of the apartment, but the outside of the Friends apartment. And behind me now is the Flatiron building. So this is quite an iconic building in New York. It's got these like metal sort of like cages around it, which I think it's had there for quite a long time. I don't know if that's part of a refurbishment, strengthening the structure or something, or if that's like actually just a long-term thing now. I don't know. But yeah, it's quite a cool looking building. It's 10 to 5 in the morning, and this is Times Square, almost empty. But I have a day tour booked, getting picked up at 5 to go to Washington. So I was a little bit worried about walking around at this time of night, or this time in the morning. But there's some police around, it seems okay. I am now in Washington DC. There's the reflecting pools, there's the Washington Monument, and this is the Lincoln Memorial. So I'm going to have a bit of a closer look. So one thing about the steps here is you'll see they change colour. They're darker steps and they go to white. The reason being is up to the dark steps is where Martin Luther King gave his famous speech. It's much cooler in here and it's quite busy. But here is Abraham Lincoln in all his glory.
Happiness is near. Smile in the corner. You should see the owner. The owner.
So the tour I'm on has taken us to a few different places, but obviously the highlights so far: Lincoln Memorial, Washington Monument, and the next up, which is the White House. So I think apparently the Oval Office is not inside the White House, it's somewhere to the right. There's some other buildings over there. I think the Oval Office is over there. It doesn't look quite like how I imagined, but I think this is the front, not the back. The back is the more iconic view, I think. So more over in that direction. So the White House is there. That's the West Wing over there, and that is where the Oval Office is. We've been given an hour free time to have a quick explore. It doesn't give us a lot of time because I've had to walk quite far from where we were dropped off on the bus. But I wanted to walk up to the Capitol building. Unfortunately, it's being refurbished at the moment, but you can still see the dome from here. But just there's a lot else going on by the look of it. So yeah, overall Washington DC, what do I think? I think maybe it's, if you want to do like the basics, you want to see the White House, Capitol building, Lincoln Memorial, all that sort of stuff. If you want to do that, fair enough, yeah, you can tick all that stuff off. I didn't find it amazing. I don't feel there was, I mean, there's history here and we did learn a little bit about the history, but I just didn't really find it that amazing compared to some of the places I've been around the world. So I'm now in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a very brief trip here because I think traffic's been so bad, we've been delayed quite a bit. So we went to Liberty Bell, which we can't even go inside to see it. So basically I could just look through the window and take a photo of it from the outside. We were meant to have gone in to be able to see it. You've got like some sort of important building there. George Washington's outside. Right, so last stop in Philadelphia. Very brief again. It's a 2-hour journey back. I don't think I'm going to get back to New York City until about 8 o'clock. But this is going to be one of the highlights of the day. This used to be at the top of the stairs, but it's been moved to the side instead. It is, of course, a statue of Rocky Balboa. And these are, of course, the famous steps that he would run up to the Museum of Art. However, I don't know what's going on at the front of it right now because you can't really see the building. But am I going to run up these steps? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Of course I'm going to run up the steps. It's going to be difficult holding the GoPro though. So it's not so tough. So yeah, I'm a bit gutted. All of this is out the front. So what have I thought about this tour? I mean, the tour guide wasn't brilliant. It's been a very long day. I'm glad that I've seen Washington DC. Although, would I go again? No, not really. I don't feel like there's much there really, apart from seeing famous landmarks. Philadelphia has been very, very brief here. You know, 2 stops, a quick look around the city streets as we're driving along. I'd have actually liked to have spent a little bit longer around Philadelphia to see what it's like. I'm glad that I've seen a different state outside of New York, a different city. But yeah, I think, I don't know, it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't the best tour, but highlight is definitely seeing the Rocky statue.
Happy city, yeah. Happy city, yeah.